My Pilates class was so hard today that like I have to support my arm to hold the mic up. Like I can't have I was typing today and I was like, I need to take a break because my arms are so
Oh,
rocked.
no. Oh, man. That's when you know. Malware is a non-technical look at the tech news of the week.
This is a podcast where we learn together about everything from crypto to AI to whatever comes next in tech. I'm Natasha Hoskins.
I'm Dina Burke.
And this is Boys Club.
Wait, is it just Boys Club?
It's just Boys Club.
The Boys Club podcast?
No. Just Boys Club. Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
We're here, Malware episode. Malware is a podcast where Dina and I yap about the tech news from the week and sometimes have on guests to talk about specific topics. So we have a real treat of an episode today.
So you said tech news. The first story that we covered is the port strike. So that's not tech news, but that's sort of just wider business.
It is a tech story.
Is it
to me, it's a tech story. Yeah.
Oh.
Because one of the reasons that they're striking, spoiler alert, is because of technical innovation that's going to take them out of a job. Totally a tech story.
Great. Tech news, hard tech news this week. We have the port strike. We have, we're going to talk about the OpenAI raise and sort of just the venture industry more generally. And then we're going to be talking about crypto hacks, personal and enterprise.
We have some fun stuff coming up. We are doing a fun event at a fun space. So if anybody in New York knows a place called Happier Grocery, it's my happy place. You can't get out of there without spending $27. It's an incredible grocery store. It's the Air One of New York.
Mm-hmm.
An incredible space. They are a very cool team that runs that space. They have an event space opening up. It's on Canal Street, and we're going to do an event there where we're going to talk about reproductive health, decentralized science, and we're going to do a live feelings check-in.
Live pod.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Yeah, we've graduated to live pod. We're not quite at acquired 6,000 people in the Chase Center yet, but a bunch of us hanging out in Happier Grocer sounds like perfect to me, honestly.
It sounds so fun. So October 17th, RSVP link is in the show notes, and I hope you like the episode.
Have you ordered anything from SHEIN lately?
Oh my gosh, I have not, but I almost did. I was on the train and they have like the video ads, and it was a SHEIN video ad, and it was so chic, and I was like,
whoa,
wait, should I order something from SHEIN? It was really chic.
That's so funny you say that, because I got an ad, a Temu ad, and it was an ad for a silicon man's chest. Like,
okay, what? Wait,
like,
what?
I know, I don't understand what the use case would be for it, but it was literally like, buy this silicon man's chest.
Like a Halloween thing, maybe?
Oh, maybe it was a Halloween thing.
Like a fake muscular man?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't, it was lifelike. It was realistic. Anyway.
It's a sex doll.
It's a kink. If you don't know, it's a kink. What was the SHEIN thing? Was it?
It was just like an ad. Like it looked like honestly, kind of like a Chloe ad. I was like, oh.
Glad you didn't add to cart, because you would be waiting for a long time. There is a major port strike that is happening across the country. We're on day 3 of a port strike. 50,000 U.S. port workers from Maine to Texas are on strike. They're also called longshoremen. So that's another word you'll hear talked about with this story. Longshoremen are basically the people who load and unload cargo ships. So like something comes in from China, they're the ones that are managing it coming on and off the boat.
Physical stuff.
Physical work.
Also, like, there are items. We're on the internet and people are working in the real world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, indeed.
Whenever I see a cargo ship, I'm like, what? How?
I know. That's kind of my dream job, though.
I know. You've talked about this. Like a logistical coordinator for a shipping company is the weirdest situation that you want to do.
So when I see a cargo ship, I have like a sense of romance around it. But yes, it's physical items on and off that thing that are...
You have a little bit of learning to do before you get this dream job of yours.
Okay, so these folks who are doing this work have walked out, are striking due to a contract disagreement. It's their first strike since 1997. The reason it's such a big deal is that it is a major point in the supply chain for delivering goods all across the United States. 60% of all US imports come through these 14 affected ports, according to a New York
Wow.
Times report. So a lot of goods. It's reportedly going to cost the US economy $5 billion per day.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's a really big economic impact. And that's a big part of the
Wow.
story. So I want to give the facts and then I want to give some speculation around it.
Can I ask you a few clarifying questions?
Mhm.
What port? Is it a specific port or all ports?
So the New York ports, Texas ports, it's happening across.
Across. Okay. And then what are their requests? What do they want?
The port workers have been frustrated at their wages. So just for context, they are.
Same. You and me both, babe.
You're like, I'm going on strike, and I'm like, okay. Great. There's a lot of different numbers out here floating around, but what I've seen is between 20 and $44 per hour. It is a six-figure job. However, their frustration is mostly that they feel like inflation has outpaced what they have been earning. They're looking for two things. They're looking for a 77% increase in their wages over the next 6
Wow.
years.
Wow. Okay, that's a big ask.
That's a big ask.
Because I was thinking $5 billion a day, give them whatever they want. Like,
Totally.
but
What
that.
ask and ye shall receive. Totally. But yeah, 77% increase. That's the first thing. So wage increase. And then the second thing, which is probably honestly a bigger part of the story, is they're looking for protections from the use of automated technology. So as
Mm,
you can imagine, software is eating the world
mhm.
and
Okay.
it's coming for the ports and the tech is freaking them out,
Yeah.
which I get.
Totally.
So
Again,
that's
same, babe.
totally. So that's what they're asking for. There is, as you can imagine, a ton of stuff that's being held up at the ports, including Hurricane Helene relief, so like just a
Oof.
lot of stuff that's being held up. There's now a lot of fear mongering. So there's been runs on Costco's. There's like videos that you'll see in New York Post or whatever that's like a Costco shelves that are empty because people are going in
Mm,
and just buying everything, even stuff
okay.
that isn't imported, like paper towels and toilet paper and stuff like that. That's not imported. People are like, I just got to buy that too. And then, of course, the holiday season coming up. The stuff not coming in now will have a big knock on effect for
Totally. People aren't going to get their silicone man
chest.
chest for Halloween.
Yeah,
It's not going to
exactly.
happen.
Or your toys for Christmas,
Christmas.
stuff like that's like so part of the
The
narrative around
fear.
this.
The,
That's
the
part of the
fear.
fear. Um,
Wow. Okay. And there's like a union that's in
yes,
negotiations with who? The port?
perfect segue. So
Okay.
there's the story, and then there's the atmosphere around the story, as ever.
Hmm.
And I'd say that the atmosphere around this story is, I don't know if this qualifies as conspiracy theory or paranoia or I don't know, whatever. Someone might have an agenda somewhere within this, but just saying what I'm seeing is that people are saying that this is a Republican inside job, hit job to cripple the economy before the election because with the interest rate cuts, that's a positive, hopefully, for the economy, and that's a boon to Kamala Harris going in with a sitting Democratic president. It's helpful for her to have a strong economy going into the election.
Okay.
And also because kind of the narrative around Donald Trump is like he's going to turn the economy around. So if the economy is
Okay.
really strong going into the election, they're saying that that's going to be positive for Kamala Harris. And so, of course, there was some rhetoric around the interest rate cuts being a Democrat maneuvering to strengthen the economy going into it. And they're
Okay.
saying that this is the Republicans kind of clapping back and doing some work to try and bring things down.
Interesting.
Now, you asked about who's doing the negotiating. Another big part of the story is there's a union boss, a longshoreman union boss, and he is not a he it's not a flattering view that they're giving of him.
Okay.
He's very much in cahoots with Donald Trump. There's this expose story about his New Jersey mansion, sprawling mansion, Bentley, five-car garage, $700,000 a year in salary. And so he is the figurehead, and that's unfortunate because
It's not reflective of the actual
I don't think it's
individual.
reflective of the workers, and his connection to Donald Trump is fueling this speculation around it being kind of a
I see.
inside job. So
Interesting. Wow. Crazy. I feel for all the SHEIN orderers who are just waiting for their cardigan dupes for the
mhm.
fall. What will they do?
What will they do?
Wow. Really crazy. Very interesting.
There it is. Just a quick update on this story here. We filmed this podcast on Thursday morning. As of Friday morning, there is new news in this story. The strike has been postponed. The longshoremen are back at work as of Friday morning with a tentative agreement to raise wages by 62%. It is kind of a pause on the strike. They are going to be revisiting terms in January. So, major update on the story here, but always like to keep you well informed. It's time for a more open, inclusive, and transparent financial system. A system that serves nearly everyone, everywhere, all the time.
That's why we love today's sponsor, Kraken. Kraken is a crypto platform that provides a super simple on-ramp to the world of crypto with a 24/7 support team.
Crypto transcends physical and imaginary borders. No matter where you are, you can send funds easily and quickly to almost any part of the world.
Plus, forget about waiting times and waiting lines. You can send, receive, and trade crypto anywhere near instantly.
Visit kraken.com/boys club. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to U.S. customers through Payward Interactive Inc. No third-party transfers available. Next up here, OpenAI raise.
Sama,
We're back.
we're
About
back.
OpenAI. Why can't we stop talking about OpenAI?
It's because they're our leader now.
Mm-hmm. So the biggest...
Oh, I have to tell you, I've been having a hard time writing the newsletter. A lot of writer's block. Just not feeling funny. And so much of writing the 2 Online newsletter is sit down and be funny is what it is. And sometimes that's just doesn't happen. And I had like a point I was trying to make last week, and I was like, okay, I have this point, but I want this point to be funny. And so I went to ChatGPT. I never prompt it for this kind of stuff. I always just prompt it for like grammar check. And I was like, make this sentence funny. Wow.
It's not its strong suit.
It can't.
It's
I was
not
like,
its
this
strong
is
suit.
really bad. Like this like I saw it and I was like, it was so bad that my feeling was I don't know if I'm optimistic about technology anymore. Like it shook me to my core how unfunny it was. And humor is such a high value to me that I'm like, if this tech can't be funny, what can it do?
Well, comedians are the only ones that have job security. I get it. Yeah, a lot of whenever I try for that, it's like a lot of puns.
It's awful.
And just So
anyway, so Sam has some work to do on that front. He doesn't seem like he's a humorous guy. So
I don't know. Every once in a while you see some tweets where you're like, okay, he kind of gets it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they have just done the largest venture capital round ever in the history of money.
Congrats.
6.6, yes. Congrats to Sam Altman. $6.6 billion in new funding at a $157 billion post-money valuation. That is double the valuation of their previous round.
Unfathomable amount of money.
So much money. The largest venture capital round, I was like, oh, that's interesting. What was the one that held the title previously?
Runner-up.
And it was basically a couple months ago. Elon Musk raised $6 billion for XAI, his AI thing.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's a lot of money. Thrive Capital led the round. So Joshua Kushner of Gaylor infamy, who is, of course, Carly Kloss's husband. So other folks, NVIDIA, Microsoft, SoftBank all invested. Apple didn't. There was kind of some noise about how they didn't invest. They were in talks to invest, they didn't. OpenAI, just for context, has 250 million weekly users. I was really struck in my conversation with Jared a couple weeks ago. Jared Kushner, Jared Barnes from Near, who is thinking and working a lot around decentralized AI. He had, in the conversation, he made like a small point that was about, and made the distinction about human in the loop AI. He used that term where he was like, right now, the products that you're using, the chatbots and everything, those are human in the loop. You're there, you're giving it a prompt and it's giving you back whatever that prompt response is. And that's cool. But where AI starts to become really, really interesting is when it's more invisible. And it's just like built into the stack of all these different things. And that's when it will have crazy growth. And just thinking about how right now, the experience of using ChatGPT is still so manual. Like I got to go there.
Yeah.
I got to put in my stuff.
Totally.
and I got to do whatever it is. And you can extrapolate out that process will become a lot more seamless.
Mm.
Even with voice, it already is. So interesting stuff there. I do want to say
Wow.
I have been listening to Bill Gurley as a podcast.
Okay.
Bill Gurley
You
is,
love Bill Gurley.
I do love Bill Gurley. I do love
In
Bill
my
Gurley.
head, Bill Gurley is Coach Taylor. Texas forever.
He
What's the
is
what's the Friday Night Lights saying?
clear eyes, full heart,
Hearts
can't
can't
lose.
lose. My thought of Bill Gurley's office is that he has that in like Live Laugh Love writing behind him.
Totally. So the reason you think that is because that's the actor who played him in the Uber
Show.
mini series.
Yeah.
Super pumped.
Hmm.
So yeah, Bill Gurley is a famous venture investor and he had a huge hand in the Uber story and it's immortalized in the show. Super pumped. That is pretty good. I enjoyed it. And anyway, so that's why he's Coach Taylor.
Soft endorsement for Super Pumped.
Yeah, a mild endorsement. So I haven't listened to the Bill Gurley podcast mostly because I can't listen to who are the other guys.
Hard Fork guys.
I can't listen to the hard fork guys anymore, but I also can't listen to the other venture capital guys. Who are they? I know we have people who listen probably really like them, but
All in.
all in. I I personally can't,
Me neither.
but I'm interested in like venture news and whatever. So Bill Gurley is, and he's so smart. He's so experienced and so smart.
He's a warmth.
He does have a warmth.
I find a lot of venture capitalists at his level seem robotic, and
Yeah,
he has a humanity to him that
he sure does. Yeah.
is really enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah, he's very listenable. Even if I'm listening to his podcast and I understand 50% of what they're talking about, I enjoy hearing him kind of explain it because I feel like I'm learning. Anyway, so I've been listening to his podcast. And he, in his latest episode, was talking about how there's this trend that's happening now where private companies going public, the IPO market is down bad,
Tremendously.
tremendously. Companies aren't going public at the same rate as they have in the past to a market degree. And they were talking about why that's happening. And it has all of these weird knock-on effects to the venture capital market when the companies don't go public, because then it like changes. It's actually what
Yeah.
similar to what Maya was talking about,
Yeah.
where it changes all the valuations and it changes how and when people invest, and it just like changes sort of the dynamic of the money because that expected outcome of an IPO or that hoped for outcome of an IPO, the chances of that happening are now way reduced.
And from what I understand, the timing of it, the investments that these venture capitalists were making on valuations that are now needing to come into maturity, an IPO, are not happening. So
Yeah,
you're seeing the effects of those decisions that happen, and the expectation of what the market would be, whatever it was 5 years ago, is now what we're seeing today with these IPOs like drastically slowing down.
totally. So the reason that I bring it up in this conversation is because they were talking about how in the past, a company with the amount of revenue that OpenAI would have gone public. An example of that is Google.
Okay.
They went public at $2 billion in revenue. OpenAI has $3.7 billion in revenue. OpenAI maybe is an outlier because it's a very capital intensive business and it's probably too premature. But even things like Stripe, Plaid, there's other big unicorns that aren't going public, even though they have multiples of the amount of revenue that Google had, for example, when it went public. And there's a lot of reasons why this is happening. Some of it is like the regulatory scrutiny where you're like, well, I don't
Right.
want to go public because then I got to
That was
deal
the
with
first thing that came to mind for me.
totally.
Yeah.
Also, there's enough money in the private capital markets that they don't have to. So,
Okay.
like OpenAI being able to raise this crazy amount, billions of dollars in the
Yeah.
private markets. And then the third thing, which is really interesting, is that there's now these really liquid secondary markets for employees to be able to cash out their stock before
Yeah.
something goes public. So, in the past, there used to be this pressure that employees would have where we're like, we really want to go public because it's like our exit to be able
Totally.
to sell our stock. And now they're able to sell it on secondaries before something goes public. So now the employees are kind of like, what? Whatever. It doesn't
Do
matter as
whatever you
much
want.
to them. Yeah,
Yeah, totally. It's not like gonna have a talent drain if they don't go public.
totally. So anyway, just kind of interesting in relation to the OpenAI story. I mean, you should go listen to the Bill Gurley podcast. I'll link in the show notes. They're saying that there could be these downstream effects on innovation where there's too much money being fed into these companies and there's not enough pressure from the public markets would expect for companies to be able to innovate and evolve. So kind of interesting, but
Super interesting.
there it is.
I'm also interested to see, we're already seeing the effects of this, but all of those employees, as soon as they start selling their secondaries, how that's going to affect the real estate market.
Mm.
I'm just like, "How do I make the OpenAI race about me?"